All right. Good morning, everybody. I just had to work through a couple of technical snags there. So, hi, hi from Virginia. I'm actually broadcasting from Vancouver Island. So it is 7 in the morning out here. Still a little bit cloudy. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. So, again, thank you for joining me on your Saturday morning. I'm going to be talking about my new book this morning. It's going to be released through Llewellyn on August the 8th. It's called In the Spirit of Home, Practical Ways to Create Your Perfect Haven. Hi, hi, Catherine. So this book is essentially about creating a home that is meaningful, nurturing, and promotes well-being. As somebody who's worked in the design industry for several years, I thought it would be fun to write a book about maybe designing from more of an intuitive place. So you'll find if you do happen to purchase this book that there's a lot of things that encompasses. So I've included ideas such as incorporating color, scent, plants, furniture arrangement. There's some feng shui aspects in this book. So it really is more of an intuitive approach to design and creating a space that's more spiritually nurturing for people, as opposed to just making a room that looks pretty. So today, what I thought I would focus on was one of the key aspects of this book, which is, and I'm going to just go to my PowerPoint here. So you're going to see full screen here. Okay, so one of the main concepts that I've written about in this book is how to clear space and change energy flow in your home. And the reason I decided to choose that is one of my main foundations is because I think clearing space and keeping the energy flow going is one of the most important aspects of keeping a home that is healthy and peaceful and comforting. Um, and that really does encompass a broad range, obviously, of things, but we're going to just start with why. Oops, sorry, I just messed up there. I went back. So I believe that our homes shape us ultimately with what we put into them. So having a space that's free and clear of energetic clutter or physical clutter is going to affect how we feel on a daily basis and ultimately affect how we live our lives. I think of buildings as places that we build over time, and we definitely put our own energy into buildings. And in turn, we're going to see benefits from that as we go through life, as we share our homes with our families, with our loved ones. So how to clear space and keep that energy flow going in your home. And normally what you're going to find, well, I find with people, is that you're going to start to feel things differently as you start to maybe go through some of the tips and tricks in this book. You're going to start to pick up on those subtle things, which is where I'm going to start today. So how to clear space and change energy flow in your home, and why should you care about how your home feels? So if anyone does purchase this book, you are going to find that this is a key concept that I explore quite a lot. Thinking about more about how our home actually feels when we're in there. And why should I care about that? Everybody's home is a haven. I believe that everybody should have a place where they can feel comforted, where they can feel like they have a place to grow, a place to explore their passions, a place to share with their families. I believe that we should start looking at our homes as an entity sort of in itself that we can draw strength from, positive experiences from. And it really is about what we put into it. I also believe that our home shapes our perspective of the world at large. So how we're living in our home, I think ultimately affects how we're seeing things outside of us, how we're seeing other people, how we're maybe looking at our jobs. I think there's a strong correlation between how we're living in our spaces and how we're actually experiencing our world. And I also think that those perspectives ultimately affect how we take care of our space. So there's a strong correlation there between how we're living our internal worlds and how we're expressing that through our homes. And I don't think it's very much different than how we express ourselves out in the world to other people, how we dress, how we take care of ourselves. So self-care, I think, manifests itself in how we're taking care of our personal space as well. And ultimately, that's going to affect your mood. Obviously, if we're living in a space that is very peaceful and very calming and very personal to us, we're more likely to be more positive and feel refreshed. And that's going to come out in how we live our daily lives, essentially. So, why you should care about how your home feels, I think that is a new angle. Um, Instead of just looking at how a room looks. And as somebody, again, that works in design, it's very easy to get caught up in the aesthetics of a room or a house or making it look picture perfect. I've been guilty of that myself too. But sometimes a picture perfect room isn't necessarily a nurturing room, because oftentimes we neglect the little personal things that make a home what it needs to be, to make a home a haven. So again, just emphasizing more of that personal aspect and really getting intuitive about working with your space. And a lot of people ask me, is it something that you should just be thinking about if you own a home, but it doesn't have to be anything like that. I mean, I rented for years, and I found that I did my best designing and really getting to know my space in rentals, because I was able to take things with me or offload things when I needed to. So it doesn't matter what kind of home you live in. I think that everybody has a space and everybody can make a home somewhere. And I really emphasize focusing on how that space makes you feel. And in terms of things, you can always pack it up and take it with you. But creating that space and that energetic framework wherever you are is a key concept in this book, and very much a part of my personal philosophy as well. So next we're going to move into, how do I know I need to clear my space? Now, if you're wondering why I've used that picture of that cute little puppy there, I am a new owner of or parent of a golden retriever puppy. So this picture just kind of spoke to me. So I decided to put it in there. But if you find your house looking like that, or if you feel that you're a little lagging in the interiors department, it might be time for a space clearing. So you might feel things like when you're at home, you don't feel rejuvenated, you don't feel rested when you're at home. Aside from the fact that maybe there are physical or emotional things going on, we're going to assume that those maybe aren't driving factors, and that maybe it's your home. Maybe there's something that's not quite right in your personal space that needs attention. You might also find that you don't enjoy going home. I personally have met people over the years, especially those with kids, a lot of my friends who used to say things that I don't really feel like going home. Why don't you feel like going home? Is it messy? Is it just you don't like the furniture? You don't like the way it makes you feel? So all those are good indicators that your space needs a little bit of attention, a little bit of love, and really, really maybe a time to focus on the health of your home, because I don't think a lot of people think of the health of their home, but this is essentially the underlying motivation for my project, is to get people to start thinking about how healthy is my home, and how likely is it to nurture me when I go home at the end of the day, or when I'm not feeling well. Is it going to be comfortable for me? And I think during the COVID pandemic, a lot of people really started to notice things like that. And I'm just hoping that I can expand on that with this new book. Another sign that your home might need to be cleared is maybe people don't like being there. Maybe your friends don't like coming over as much, or maybe your kids don't like hanging out in certain rooms of the house anymore. So that could be a good indicator that maybe something's just stale or needs to be shuffled around or cleared out. A lot of times, something just needs to be moved and something needs to be cleared to get that energy reflowing again. So that's a large focus here as well. And the puppy, we need to clean up after the puppy. So now we're going to talk about how to clear interior space effectively. So my book is, again, it's not primarily around any specific practice. I mean, I'm not a feng shui practitioner, but I do touch upon some very effective feng shui techniques in the book for placement and energy flow and moving that chi around. But there are a lot of other ways, a lot of intuitive things that you can do to get your space moving a little bit and clear it out. So the first aspect I explore quite a bit is your physical stuff. So the stuff you can see. Um, so basically, if you're going to start, if you've determined, yes, my space isn't giving me what I need, it's time to do a little bit of work here. Start with your physical stuff. Start looking at what don't I love anymore? What don't I use? What isn't working? Do I wear these clothes? I don't like the way they look on me. Anything that's not promoting wellness or joy. It's time to pack it up and really be honest and take an honest assessment of why you're still keeping these things in your house and in your space. A lot of us keep things out of guilt. It took me years to get rid of boxes of my oldest child's artwork because I figured that maybe he wanted me to keep that stuff. But if you really take an honest assessment of your space and your life from a perspective of now, you're really going to start to see that some things just don't matter anymore, and it's okay to pass these things along. So what I did is I said, okay, let's pick a few favorites, and then the rest can go. And that's the same with keeping objects from people that have maybe passed away, past relationships. Yes, there are things that are going to have sentimental value, but we don't need to hang on to everything out of a sense of necessity when it's not bringing you joy. And in fact, it's probably doing the opposite. So a really honest assessment of those things. And why that matters is because it's going to affect your psychological health over time. A lot of people don't see things slowly creeping over the years that are weighing them down. So this is a really good time to just say, no, I don't need to keep this stuff, and it's time to go. Um, so how to do it? Obviously, decluttering. You'll see articles and books all over the place about decluttering, simply because it is probably the most effective thing you can do to change not just your home, but your life in general. Decluttering your house, it might sound cliche, but it works wonders, and it's immediate. The effects are going to be immediate. Just that offloading, and obviously cleaning, keeping your space clean. If you've left, and I know it can be really hard. I mean, I myself juggle work and writing and puppy and children, and it can be very difficult to have that motivation to clean, but it definitely gives you a sense of rejuvenation, just giving everything a good clean, even if it's once a week or however often you can fit it in. And then at the end, when you've finished sorting through your stuff and deciding what you're keeping and what you're not keeping, get it organized. Give everything you're going to keep and use on a regular basis. Give it a space of its own. And what you'll find is that after you've decluttered, you're not going to have as much stuff to have to try and organize. So it usually works out that way, that we actually have enough space for our stuff once we've offloaded the stuff that we don't need. And then the other side of that, you're going to be looking at the etheric stuff. So the stuff that you can't see. And a lot of people have asked me in the past, how do you clean stuff that you can't see? And that's a good question, because not everybody is receptive to things floating around or things stuck in space that they're working on an energetic level. But that is just as important as getting rid of that physical stuff. And oftentimes that unseen stuff has been attached to the physical stuff. So and why that matters is obviously it can really weigh a person down. It can hang over you like a black cloud. I've walked into houses where people have been fighting, or where maybe there was a death before, and I just happen to be one of those people who can feel those things pretty easily, but not everybody can. But they might feel effects of that and not know what it is. So If you're talking about clearing energetic debris, you're going to look to space clearing techniques like burning herbs, and visualizations. And if you are doing these practices, the space clearing with the herbs, just remember to keep your intentions in mind of what you're trying to accomplish when you do those little rituals there. And again, the effects of those are usually pretty quick, and you can definitely feel a space that's been cleared, hopefully. So those are very effective ways to clear interior space. And the benefits of space clearing. Most people notice immediate physical, psychological effects. Sort of an emptying of weight. A lot of people feel like they've dropped 10 pounds. So it really, you can really see where that physical stuff is attached to the etheric world, or the energetic patterns. And a lot of times it's just simply a letting go of the past. So you're just dropping off those burdens that you don't need. And I say the word burden, not that maybe our memories are burdens, but we do tend to carry things that just aren't benefiting our present self anymore. And that's really where I like to make the difference known, is that it's not that you're trying to forget about people that you had in your life in the past. It's just simply about being honest about, do I need to keep this stuff going into the future? So letting go of that past and all the attachments is very important. And again, I like to look at it too, is that you're also releasing burdens for your future self. So the more you can take care of yourself now, the clearer the path is going to be for you going down the line. And your future self, I think, will thank you for freeing up some space, for letting new things in, because less is more, as we see and hear all the time. And it really is, because having less, in a sense of not keeping our space and our lives crowded with things that aren't necessary, you're constantly leaving room for new things to come in. So for new opportunities to come in, for new people to come in. I make a habit of, if I decide I want to go and buy some new clothes, that I donate at least a box of clothes I'm not wearing first. So just a symbolic gesture of making room for something new, which is where you're going to see the benefits of space clearing the most. And a final mention there, you're aligning your space with your current self. So obviously, we as spiritual beings evolve constantly. We are always changing, depending on what we're doing with our lives, who's in our lives right now. And we're not going to be the same people that we were 10 years ago. We're not going to like the same, we might not like the same colors, you might not like the same styles. So it's really important to look at, does my home reflect who I am right now? And no, we don't always have a ton of money to go out and do a total overhaul. And by no means am I suggesting that. Most of us don't, and we have to get creative with what we have. And what you'll find in this book is that there are lots of tips that you can try without spending a ton of money. So it's more about making the space personal, aligning it with what you need at the present time, and focusing on those little things that are likely to bring you joy every day. And again, focusing on the health of your home. So what you're going to find after you've done all of that wonderful decluttering and space clearing is you're going to change the flow in your home. You're going to have a positive energy flow, a happier home, a happier you. Some last minute quick tips here for gaining more energy flow. Try moving the furniture around. That can be a big one too. If you're walking into a room and people are tripping over things, there's a good chance that the energy is getting blocked there as well. So that's something that a lot of people don't look at, but it definitely can have an impact for sure. Make sure your lighting is good throughout your house. Keep it bright when you can. Open blinds, open shutters, open curtains. Get that natural light flowing, and that's going to have a very positive impact as well. Open your windows every day, even in the wintertime. I know it's cold, but but that blast of fresh air can actually work wonders in a room, even just for a couple minutes. It should be something that we all practice to get that stale energy out of there. And try and work in organic elements when you can, whether it's live plants or a water feature or woods, rocks, crystals, anything from the outside, fresh flowers that's going to, because obviously anything natural is going to have a tremendous amount of positive energy and is going to uplift you on a very personal level. So try and work those things in when you can. So the takeaway here is your home is your sanctuary. And I encourage everyone to love it like you mean it. Treat it as a place of nourishment. Treat it as it's your place that's going to protect you and keep you comfortable. And it's where you're going to be when you're sick, when you're with your children, with your loved ones. Start looking at your home more, if you don't already, as a place that's going to offer you the very best. It will give you what you put into it. So that is my key takeaway here from this book. And I hope that everyone has an opportunity to look at their homes differently after this. Now, there's a few minutes left. If anybody has any questions for me, I will leave the chat open for a couple minutes. If anybody has anything they want to ask or say. If not, I'm sure I could find something else to talk about. Doesn't look like anybody has any questions. All right, okay. Oh, you didn't see all these slides. Okay, so I will go through the slides again real quick. Okay, we'll go back to the beginning. Okay, so that was our first slide. That is the cover of the new book that you'll all be able to hopefully go and order. In the Spirit of Home, Practical Ways to Create Your Perfect Haven. And I can also pop the link to my website in the chat as well at the end of this. And this was the slide on how to clear space and change energy flow. Why you should care about how your home feels. How do I know I need to clear my space? And hopefully you were all able to see the little puppy there. It's one of my favorites.
Hey, Leslie.
Hi.
Try switching. Go to the actual PowerPoint program. We're still not seeing them go through, and I think that's the window we're seeing. So maybe just pop over into the program.
This one right here?
Try moving through them.
Okay.
Because nope, just right where you're at. 'Cause I can see your mouse when you do that. So stay right where you're at and just kind of go through them quickly.
Okay, right here?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guy. Okay, so that was the first one with the cover of the book. And then I had this one here about clearing space and changing energy flow. Then the next one, why should I care about how my home feels? And then this was the one with the cute puppy. And then I have how to clear interior space effect. Oops, sorry. That one right there. And then benefits of space clearing. And then changing flow with some tips there. And then that was the last slide right there. I apologize. That probably would have gone a lot better if you guys could actually see the slide. Does anybody have any questions for me before we wrap it up? Yes, he is a very cute puppy. You're very welcome. It's a lot of fun. Bree has a question. Any advice for how I can coexist with my parents while still living with them? How do I find a middle ground while planning on moving out? So Bree, I mean, I would recommend, even if you just have a room of your own or any kind of space that you've got in your house, try and personalize that as much as you can. It's sort of practice for when you are planning to move out. You know, make sure you're living with things that you enjoy, like your own throw pillows or your own blankets or your own plants. I mean, even a room can be a great little sanctuary. I find great sanctuary in my room, where I keep all of my favorite stuff. It can definitely be challenging, but anytime you can find your own space, I definitely recommend making that as personal as you can. And it will be your little space, and it might not be forever, but you can make it definitely what you need it to be. There was an earlier question about any advice for dealing with overwhelm when attempting to clear stuff. Yes, absolutely. I recommend going slowly, maybe one room at a time, one closet at a time. It can be very overwhelming to know what to keep and to know when to draw the line. A lot of people attach great emotional, obviously, things to objects and things from the past. But I definitely recommend just being kind to yourself, and definitely taking your time, because it's not always going to be easy. I had to sort through my mom's stuff after she passed, and it took me a couple of years to get the mentality to do that. So definitely be kind to yourself. And if it feels rushed or if it's extremely overwhelming, you can ask a friend. Ask a friend to come and help you and work through those things. But definitely be kind to yourself. And start small. Start one room at a time for sure. Jen Cap says, I don't mind opening my windows in the winter, but earlier this week when it was 90 degrees, well, no, okay. Then you can use the air conditioning. Yes, for sure. Maybe you don't always want the fresh air. Great question. I find breaking it into smaller tasks. Yes, for sure. No, it can be very overwhelming, but definitely start one room at a time. A lot of people will start with their closets, or their garages. Anywhere that you've got things that you're not even using in your house is a good place to start. I typically start in the garage, or the basement or whatever. Wherever you're storing things that you're not actually using in your house is a good place to start. So definitely. And yeah, it can be very overwhelming, Johnny, for sure. Anything else about that? All right. I think that's probably my time. I really appreciate you all for coming on your Saturday morning. I hope some of you get some nice weather for your weekend. And I will quickly pop in the link to my website if you guys want to go check it out, and get some more information on the book. You can certainly do that. And I really appreciate you guys, all your questions and your comments.